The Devil's Soul, Chapter 18, Sections 8 and 10, King of Prussia, Pennsylvania, 2023, and a speaker story. Hi, my name is Eli, and I am an addict. My clean date is May 2nd, 2005, and that was also the day of my very first NA meeting. That marked the beginning of a profound change in my life, and is a testament to the power of this program and fellowship. When I walked into that meeting, I didn't feel love exactly, but I did feel care, and that was more than I had felt in a long time. I was completely broken, emotionally bankrupt, and I was spiritually lost. I was a 28-year-old man stuck at the emotional developmental level of a 10-year-old, using adolescent survival skills to get through life. I behaved often like a cornered animal, defensive and angry, even when I wasn't being threatened. That way of life wasn't courage or masculinity. It was mostly fear and insecurity disguised as toughness. I had survived mental abuse and physical violence, and so my nervous system was overloaded to the point where I believed I had to use just to keep going. And yet, my story is one of contradictions. I somehow managed to get 2 college degrees, hold down a full-time job, help raise my daughter, while selling substances off and on and using. I didn't use as hard as some, but in many ways I was sicker than many others. My life was a bunch of functional chaos. When I came into recovery, I did what was suggested. I went to meetings every day, got a sponsor, joined a home group. I did service work and practiced prayer, even though it felt awkward at first. My sponsor was someone who had been raised in NA by people who believed in diving into the steps right away. They taught that the sooner you face your problems in everyday living, just that much faster do you become an acceptable, responsible, and productive member of society, as How It Works says. That approach became mine, and I began working the steps in my first few months clean. Step 4 was a turning point. It was where I began to see myself clearly for the first time. I had grown up in a household shaped by radical political beliefs. My parents were part of an anti-war and civil rights movement of the 60s and 70s, and they taught me that the working class was oppressed amongst other oppressed classes. We were poor for a while, living in Lancaster, PA, a place that felt like North Philly light. Later, we moved to Upper Darby outside Philly, where things improved a little bit, but I still experienced things no child should have. My parents' teachings had a kernel of truth, but they also gave me a sense of entitlement. I believed I deserved success as a writer, for example, even though I wasn't putting in the work. I thought potential should be rewarded rather than actual effort. I also used my pain and trauma often as weapons, excusing my antisocial and sometimes amoral behavior, from petty crime to mistreating friends and people I was in relationships with. Step 4 also brought up deeply buried shame. A harmful encounter as a child affected my sense of self and my sexuality, leading to anger, overcompensation, sexual confusion, and a misguided attempt to often prove my masculinity. I felt shame about my sexuality as well as being awkward and bookish, and even after I grew tall, dressed cool, dabbled in street behaviors, and dated lots of women, I still felt out of place and less than. My mom, we believe, was slightly autistic, even though she was never diagnosed, and I did inherit or absorbed from her certain social struggles. These defects, along with a lack of self-acceptance, left me so vulnerable in the face of fear and self-doubt. But when I shared all this with my sponsor during my first fifth step, I experienced something I had never felt before: acceptance. I saw that I had more in common with other addicts than I had ever realized. That realization gave me hope that I could change. By staying clean, I had a huge advantage in becoming a better person. The outer changes came first, though. I became responsible, showing up as a valued employee, paying my child support on time, and becoming a stabler influence on my daughter. I took healthy risks and even found a career after about a decade in recovery. But the deeper inner changes, trust, faith, self-acceptance, they took longer. As I worked through the steps multiple times, I was building a relationship with a higher power all the way. I came to believe in the promise of freedom from active addiction, and I lived NA's message of a new way of life. Or at least I tried. I committed myself to helping other addicts, both as a sponsor and through my work in a recovery-related field. My heart and spirit found purpose in being of this service. But I would be lying if I said the process of internal change was easy or quick. Denial is a stubborn thing. There are areas of our lives where we don't even realize we're in denial until much later. That's the nature of denial. change takes time, and sometimes we only see the need for change in hindsight. As I approach 20 years in recovery, I can see how much fear has held me back, even after all these years. But I also see how faith and fear can coexist. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's pushing forward despite it. Recovery has taught me that it's okay to be afraid as long as I don't let fear paralyze me. Today, I have hope. I trust in my higher power, in this program, and in my fellow addicts. I've learned that change is not only possible, but an inevitability if I allow the God of my understanding through the 12 steps to help me to continue to grow. Just for today.